Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into it.
The serviceability of the oil pump directly depends on how much the car will run before the nearest engine overhaul. To save the motor from complete destruction, it is important to understand the main signs of malfunction, as well as to know how to check the oil pump and what pressure should be in the lubrication system. Checking the pressure with a pressure gauge. Screwing in a mechanical pressure gauge instead of an oil pressure sensor is the only reliable way to check the oil pump without removing it from the engine. You can buy a ready-made set for measuring pressure in the oil system or assemble the device with your own hands. To do this, you will need liquid mechanical manometer. The device can easily find almost every auto parts store for domestic machinery, tractors. Also suitable is any industrial manometer with an adequate measuring scale. An adapter to be screwed in place of the standard oil pressure sensor. The mating part must have a hose fitting or a thread with a cone for screwing in a flexible tube. Such an adapter can be turned by any turner. You will need to measure the diameter of the seating hole, the thread pitch, and draw up a sketch of the adapter. Alternatively, you can bring the turner a standard oil pressure sensor to make an adapter in its likeness. Some drivers, in order to check the oil pump, drill out the inside of the old oil pressure sensor and make an adapter using improvised means. Much easier in this regard for owners of VAZ cars, for which there are ready-made tees on sale. You can simultaneously screw in both the standard pressure sensor and mechanical manometer. A section of hose that will connect the manometer and the adapter. Select the diameter of the hose. The type of connection of the flexible tube should take into account the type of output fitting on the manometer. It is important that there are no oil leaks at the connection point during the measurement process. Measuring technique. The method of checking oil pressure will be identical for all vehicles. The only difference is the minimum threshold value at which the low oil pressure warning light on the dashboard illuminates. Refer to your vehicle's service manual for information on the pressure-reducing valve threshold and minimum operating pressure in the engine lubrication system. The following data is relevant for VAZ cars of classic models: 2101, 2102, 2103, 2104, 2105, 2106, 2107. Pressure on cold. Before starting, the engine and oil in the sump must cool down to ambient temperature. The threshold of operation of the emergency oil pressure sensor is 0.33 kgf cm2. At this value, the engine must be shut down and disassembled for defect inspection of the oil pump. With increasing revolutions, the pressure gauge arrow should rise to 4.5 kgf cm2. At this pressure, a serviceable pressure-reducing valve operates, so there should be no further increase. Measurements on a warm engine. As the oil temperature drops, its viscosity increases, which has a positive effect on the performance of the oil pump. Therefore, it is best to check the oil pump while the engine is hot. Since oil warms up slower than antifreeze, let the engine run for about 5 minutes after the coolant temperature gauge shows 90 degrees Celsius. In the lubrication system of a serviceable engine VAZ 2101 to 2007 at 5,600 rpm should be a pressure of 3.5 to 4.5 kgf cm2. If the values obtained are significantly different from the nominal values, the engine in certain modes will experience oil starvation. The low oil pressure light will illuminate on the dashboard. In this case, we recommend to disassemble and check the oil pump. Do not rely on the standard pressure gauges of VAZ and UAZ cars. They in 90 out of 100 cases show anything but the real oil pressure in the engine. Removal from the engine for disassembly. The video demonstrates the process of checking the oil pump VAZ 2104. But the measurement of the gap between the housing and gears, the evaluation of the working out of the driving and driven gears, the Cover of the oil pump housing and many other subtleties are relevant for all types of oil pumps. Before disassembly, it is recommended to study the structure and principle of operation of the oil pump. For a preliminary check, remove the timing gear and pull out the oil pump drive gear. If you find deep scoring on the axle, you are likely to encounter dislodged splines. A jammed drive pinion is extremely dangerous, as the splines may slip. The consequence of the breakage will be oil starvation, which for the engine ends with at least checked crankshaft liners. You can also visually assess the oil pump rod play. On a serviceable pump, the clearance of the rod housing pair should not exceed 0.1 mm. The oil pump on VAZ cars of classic models is unscrewed from the crankcase. Therefore, to check, we'll have to drain the oil and remove the oil pan. Having previously weakened the engine cushions, the motor must be lifted a little. To fully check the oil pump, arm yourself with a set of dipsticks. Do not try to estimate the exhaustion of parts with pretentious fitting requirements by eye only. Defect inspection: unscrew the oil inlet cover with the pressure-reducing valve. Do not lose the original spring thrust washer. Also note that one of the bolts will be a shorter length, so be sure to memorize the location of its seating position. Measure the length of the spring at rest with a caliper, should be at least 38 mm. Remove the cover and you will see the wear marks left by the gears. Deep scoring is a clear sign that the oil pump is worn out. Repair of the cover is to level out the flush plane. Remove the oil pump drive gear from the housing. Check the condition of the teeth, shaft. Scuffs indicate wear. In the idler gear, additionally assess the condition of the locking axis hole. Check the walls of the oil pump housing and the idler pinion axle. Roughness and potholes indicate debris in the working area. In conclusion, properly checking your oil pump is essential for maintaining your engine's health and performance. By following the steps we've outlined, you can ensure that your oil pump is functioning correctly and avoid potential issues down the road. Regular maintenance and vigilance can save you time and money, keeping your vehicle running smoothly. Thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more helpful tips on automotive care.